DMR media bridging. Three cameras set up and rolling and we're live.
Are we live? Is that what's going on here? Hello. Good evening. That sounds good. Okay. So welcome to Island Origins Live. My name is Khalib. Y'all remember me? I'm Khalib. I was here last week with you. This is my co-host, Mr. Sexy Man, aka David. How are you doing this evening?
Well, I'm great tonight.
David, you're looking very cheerful in that yellow. I approve.
Yeah, man. Thank you. I wear it every week. Can we make this uniform?
I don't mind a uniform for you. I'm not doing it. So.
Yes. Get used to the yellow.
Oh Lord.
I'm gonna be a yellow fellow.
All right, Yellow Fellow and Khalib in the building, and today we are talking to our friend, both of our longtime friend. I think we both know this guy before we knew each other, right?
Definitely.
Long before. Y'all know him by the name Sir Rockwell. Probably some of you know him by Steve. Does anybody know him?
No, nobody.
My mother.
Okay, his mother, if you've been around long enough to be like mom or dad or something, you know my Steve. This is a foundation DJ, foundation radio personality in the South Florida landscape.
Foundation.
I like foundation. Rockwell, you know, thank you very tonight. Some show us. So I can't hear you though.
You're showing us fun, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I said foundation. I would say better than foundation.
Okay, okay.
No, my foundation is a part of it, but I think when you say foundation, it means somebody who was here from the beginning. I think with Rockwell, I think we need to explain.
He was around BC.
It's not so much that it's BC. I think it's someone who is the excellence. I think it's part of. Oh, where are we? We're white.
No, we're white. Yeah.
Oh, they didn't tell us that. They told us listen, this producer. No, we're good. So this week we're here with our friend.
Yes.
And it's important that we say this. Yes, Rockwell is foundation, but he's excellence. The thing is about Rockwell is that the man is an entertainer. He's not a DJ, he's not an MC, he's not a host. He's everything. He's an entertainer, and that's why
he's all the above, actually.
Yeah, man, he's all of that.
He is a DJ, and he is an entertainer, and he is a host, and he is all of that.
Wow. Yeah, man.
So we're not buttering up. No matter whoa. We're not buttering up. We're going to treat you very bad because you're family. We're going to get treated very bad today. But no, as we would say in Jamaica, Rockwell is not no pure.
No, not at all.
Right, personality. So I'm going to do my intro spiel. Sir Rockwell, first night of the online radio empire at rockthebox.net. Oh, I'm back in this camera, right? Always speaks his mind, right? This week on Island Origins Live, we'll learn about his expansive knowledge of the music industry, how the industry has rubbed many in radio the wrong way because you love to cuss, we know that, we're going to talk, we're going to go there, and why people in radio still love what they do. With all the cussing, they still love what they do, right, Rockwell? Last 20 years, Sir Rockwell has been building a following of loyal listeners in South Florida and around the world. His Wake Up and Live show is the most syndicated radio show morning program in Caribbean radio, reaching over 200,000 listeners worldwide. Find him on rockthebox.net. Welcome to the show, Sir Rockwell. We've never had royalty on the
I feel like the only thing missing is a drum roll and horns. Thank you.
We've never had royalty. Welcome to the show.
I never had royalty. The first night of wow. Yeah. I have to save that. And hang on to that. Thank you so much for having me. Congratulations.
We do branding around here. That's what we do.
Yes. I noticed. I noticed. Thank you so much. Congratulations on Island Origins, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So I'm going to actually leave most of this show in the hands of my compadre over here, Mr. David Muir.
I really don't understand why.
I don't know
why. I'm going to tell you.
I can tell you the year when I met Khalib.
Your memory is way better than mine because you talk about something and I don't know if I was like having some stone and gravel at the time or what, but you talk. I've heard you say that I slept on the floor in the studio. It sounds like it could be a real thing.
Well, no, but you were one of two friends who used to hang out with me and keep my company when I did late night radio at WX when I first started. Sasha of Sean Paul and Sasha, before she was Sean Paul and Sasha. Sasha used to come. Trini And yourself, sometimes you just call and say, "Can I don't want anybody to," and you just come hang with me. So, you know, for that time.
Rockwell, I hear you talking, but I hear over here my co-host is falling apart. You sure you can manage all that?
That was the one.
Okay, I'm just checking. I'm just checking.
That was the water. First of all, I would like to thank Island Origins for the hospitality. Thank you very much. This is this kind of equates to my morning show.
Okay. So we did not know all of that. See, my voice gone. David, you're not saving me. What you
No,
doing?
we're coming to my time.
You're inviting people.
It's time to get unruly is when I get noisy.
Lord have mercy. All right.
But
Okay.
you go ahead. Go ahead. No, I'm going to jump in a minute. Go ahead.
All right. So let's actually start off with your history in the music business, because according to David, you were there before Christ. So
Wow.
yeah, those are his words, not mine. I'm just reconfirming what I was told by my co-host. You've been in the music industry for how long now?
Depending on how you define the industry, it's easier if I just give the 30-second
Yeah, man. Elevator pitch.
bio. I, for those who probably think that Rockwell is a Jamaican, and yes I am, but I was actually born in Brooklyn.
Cheater.
And moved to Jamaica. Well, I was moved to Jamaica when I was 6 weeks old. My mother and father were in med school at Howard at the time, and it was a little inconvenient to have a newborn and be in med school. So I was transported to my grandparents down in Jamaica at the age of 6 weeks. But as a result of that, from the age of 4, I would go and spend summer in the States. So as David can attest, the summer is kind of where the music kicks in. That's when the height of the parties are going on and stuff. So I'd come back and hear about the Jamaican parties.
Right.
But I was involved in the American parties.
At 4 years old.
At 4 years old, because you had parents that threw picnics,
Right.
and the picnics turned into parties at night. And if you behaved yourself, you're allowed to party with the grown-ups.
Gotcha.
So I think probably about 10, 11, you know, when my father decided that it was more fun to partake than DJ, I got the opportunity to start playing the music for these
At
adult
10 or
parties
11
at
years old.
about 10 or 11.
Okay.
So
it's a legacy thing. Your father was a DJ as well.
no, my father was an entertainer. He loved to entertain at home.
Okay.
And part of the transition from the barbecue was to have the music and the grown-up party at the end of the night. And you get stuck in that position. You really don't get to socialize the way you get stuck behind the music.
Right.
So I don't know if it was really because of my love and more out of convenience. Here, you can play the music so I can socialize,
Right.
but that's what happened. And I'm not going to give years, but we didn't have mixer and 2 turntables at that time. It was the turntable with the tone arm and the little gadget that holds the record down, so you have to time it.
So it really was BC, okay.
It was BC.
Yes,
It was
okay.
BC. I was right after the little rat in the cage that turned the generator.
gotcha.
I actually had electricity at that time.
I understand. That's
So,
fantastic.
but that was the exposure to music. But, you know, on a serious note, you ended up at 10, 11, 12 buying music for adults. You know, so and back in those days, there really wasn't a lot of kids' music. All this kids' bop that is going on now, you just got PG music, you know, the edited versions of mainstream music. So at 11, 12, I was playing Ohio Players and Commodores and those guys, coming back to Jamaica at the end of summer to be exposed to all the hits that were played in the summer. So I'd bring the hits from the previous year up to the States the following year and take the new R&B hits back to Jamaica during the school year. So that was the exposure to music.
So were you also a DJ in Jamaica?
I played family parties.
Right.
Very strong Christian upbringing. I remember now it's the grandparents. So my ability to play music was relegated to when they went to church and funerals. And my
you were
grandmother
scratching. You were like scratching the
scratching
Grace thrillers.
funny enough, yes, because I lived on Paddington Terrace and the drummer for the Grace Thrillers lived right.
We were neighbors.
I was at Paddington and Ligony, and they were south of Ligony, between Ligony and King's House Road. And so that was it. And you got a chance to play reggae, providing your next door neighbor didn't report to your grandmother and said the bangarang was coming out of the house while she was away. But that was it, you know. And I had the opportunity to go into Federal Records and with Byron Lee and stuff as a result of his being very good friends with my uncle. So I got a little taste of the recording industry very, very early, and understanding where the music was coming from kind of really endeared me to the whole process. Also, again, not mentioning any years, but reggae was starting to take a place on radio, even though it was late night radio with Mikey.
You're making yourself sound old now.
Well, you know, I'm experienced.
Yes, okay.
David not even paying
So
anybody.
people are saying on the live, is David listening to what Rockwell is saying? So
I don't even know how do I get on the line.
let me answer that question.
Don't follow David, I'm gone.
That's what
No.
on the Facebook.
So
Okay.
everyone who is watching, let me please explain that why it may look like I'm on my phone is because I'm on my phone sharing and inviting people to join us on the show live. So I apologize if it may appear that I'm not listening, but I'm very much listening because
How do I get that?
I too was doing a lot of the music at the same time as Rockwell. I too lived on Paddington Terrace. I too walked Ligany Avenue every day. So we come from a very similar space and time. And so yes, we are very kindred in that way. So absolutely, yes, I am listening, I'm paying attention, but I'm just making sure that everybody who is not already on is on. So if you are on and you're watching, please go ahead now and share so others can join in. We have approximately 48 minutes to get all the content we want out of Rockwell. So I want to talk to Rockwell about a lot of things. And
I'm also going to ask that everybody put your questions, not just comments, but put your questions in the comment section as well, so that when we come to the questions from audience section, we have everything going. And David, you're going to wait until after we get through the advertisements.
all right, so I'm going to wait. All
Alright,
right,
just checking, just
I'm being
asking.
put
I
in
don't know.
check.
I don't know.
Let me take a sip of my brown juice.
You're sipping or you're talking? What are you doing? You can't do so many things at one time. You know?
What does Gidek know about Paddington Terrace?
Well, Guinness, you used to come and visit David and
Oh,
Actually, steer the show back toward the conversation. Rockwell and Rock the Box. Yes, David. What are your questions that you'd like to get in?
Well, I think I would like to start with this because after we kind of glorified the history, let's actually bring it to right now and let's understand a little bit of
Can I ask one more historical question? How did you
Alright.
become Sir Rockwell?
How did I become Sir Rockwell?
Yes.
All right. Started out college at Howard University. My father at the time was a professor there, and you really don't want to go to school where your dad is teaching. So I transferred to University of Maryland, and there I pledged a fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi.
Okay.
And when I transferred over, I had already started to DJ in the area. And I decided that that was going to be my main source of income. So by the time I started pledging in their nice, mean way, they're like, oh, so you're a DJ. We're going to call you Sir Rockwell.
Okay.
For my line name in pledging.
Okay.
From
So
that,
it was bestowed upon you.
it was bestowed upon me in a very unsavory manner, I should say. I paid the price, and it stuck through school. And every time I tried to steer away from it, I kind of ended up going back to it. I guess out of comfort, and eventually I gave in. Now I tend to drop the sir part because it just seems a little egotistical and narcissistic.
Yeah, well,
Rockwell. It's all good.
that's what it is.
You know, I go to the driver's license place and the lady recognizes me and I give her the license and she goes, but this is not your last name. Your last name is Rockwell. So that's the story of the name acquisition.
All right, thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, man. So I will carry on. Thank you. So Rockwell, let's actually just let's have some fun talking about music. Let's start with music, and then we can go to radio and all the other things that you're doing. What music does Sir Rockwell like? What is music for you? What do you enjoy Not just what you play on the radio, but what is it that you enjoy today?
Well, undoubtedly, music is an escape for me. Music is therapy, without a doubt. As a result, I have a little thing called my insomniac sessions that happens from time to time. When I'm stressed, I just go and play music. What type of music? That will come under the genre of anything.
Cool. Here's why I asked that question, because as someone who programs music for people's enjoyment, most of the time you're such an intellectual selector that I know that a lot of what you do is give people what will make them happy. Mm-hmm. What makes you happy in music?
Wow. Really tough question. It really depends on.
Let me help you. You should write there, say, Christina Alicia makes you happy in music.
Well, if you don't know that by then, yeah, absolutely. No, I listen to Christina Alicia 24/7, 365.
And I don't know that's true, but I want to dig deeper into what are your like. Because here's the thing, I'm an unapologetic lover of reggae music, so I listen to a lot of reggae that may not make it to the mainstream, but that's me. So I'm a bias for reggae. What makes you happy?
I wish I could say the same, but my background other than music is in the hospitality industry. I started off working for airlines. I opened Virgin Atlantic. I worked for TWA. I opened Virgin Atlantic North American offices for Richard Branson. As a result, I traveled. I have traveled to just short of every place I've ever wanted to go. And two things that I love to experience is their food and their music. And I really can't say that on any given day that there's one genre of music that dominates. It really is a mood thing for me. There are times where I just want to hear some salsa. There are days where I just want to hear some soca, or some moments, I should say, that is it. If you ask me what is the therapeutic side, I have to revert to reggae. But as far as enjoyment, there are times where I just want to hear R&B or soul because of where I am. But if I had to pick one genre that can kind of soothe, of course it probably would be.
So let me take to what you program for other people. I notice that you play spiritual music, you play soca, you play reggae, you play old music, you play new music, pop, and so on. How do you choose what you're playing and for who? What is your audience? What is your following group like? Right? Tell us, describe who listens to you, because I have an idea and I don't know that I understand it completely.
I think I have been fortunate enough to have an audience at this point in my career that understands my musical diversity and celebrates and joins me on that. As a result, they are just willing to take anything as long as it falls in the realm of good music, meaning well produced, not violent, not overly sexual. And I have to use overly because we need a little of that. A little of the cayenne pepper in there. But
so you're educating your audience.
I like to think that if we are true, if we have a true appreciation of reggae, we have to have a true appreciation of what reggae is made up of. And reggae came out of a little of everything else. And that's a difficulty I have when Jamaicans say they love reggae, but they don't like R&B, or they don't like hip hop, or they don't like this, they don't like country, because I can start dishing out the country cover tunes.
How often do you hear that though? Because I know growing up for me in Jamaica, we heard all of that on radio. And Kenny Rogers, I believe, went to Jamaica, did jazz before it went.
And cried because of how he was appreciated.
They loved him so much. So who is it that is one or two little people?
No, I think as we progress, we regress. In that we have unfortunately decided to follow what we think is the norm and get segmented in our listenership down in, especially coming out of Jamaica. So now you have a jazz station, and you have a country station, and you have a gospel station, where a lot of us came out of hearing that in 1 hour, not even on the same station, but literally on 1 hour. And that is why I format my show the way I do. Every hour, there are at least 4 different genres of music that is going to be heard.
Right.
You have an option. You can turn off or change song, but that is what I am going to do, because the similarity, you know, we talk about if we're to jump ahead and talk about the
Well, before you jump ahead, I want to ask something that's relevant to why I led you in this direction. So the reason I asked you about why and how you format your music is I want to understand, because how many affiliates you have now? 40?
We just picked up our 42nd.
42nd affiliate. So your show is being rebroadcast by 42 different affiliates.
Correct.
So you're not just playing to your audience, you're playing to this, a massive cross-section of different people. So now that you are selecting for this wide, in different time zones, in different countries, different cultures, how does that affect how you are selecting what you program?
Doesn't. I tell people that they join in on my show.
Exactly. Branding. Branding.
Cheers.
Thank you.
And this is why you have the option. You have the option to listen, and you can listen for the first half hour, which is going to be predominantly reggae. And if you listen long enough, you're going to know that it's going to be reggae, R&B, maybe a little country, and then a little soca. So if you want the soca, you know it might come at the last 15 minutes. So you can tune out if you'd like and come back when the soca is there, but it's not going to change how I program.
First question is in the group. It says, where can we hear his show? If you don't know where you can hear Rockwell's show, then this is the right time. So listen carefully. You can go to rockthebox.net.
Rock the box.
Rock the box. So that's ROCKDABOX.net. Rockthebox.net. And believe me, every morning, 7 to 11?
7 to 11. Eastern Standard Time.
It used to be till noon as well. Why we lose an hour?
You really want to know?
Yeah,
I made an adjustment to
so hold on.
fit into
7 to 11 Eastern in the morning, not 7 p.m. like we are now. 7 to 11 in the morning. It's
Thank you,
officially a morning show.
Yes.
It's that right to word. And sorry, I'm glad that I even brought it up, because it's not just on rockthebox.net. It's also on the same thing on
42
other stations, but even more so, you can pick it up on TuneIn. So if you have the app TuneIn on your phone, you can stream it in your car. Routinely, I'm driving and I have the Bluetooth connected, and I'm running TuneIn, and it's a morning show. So go down back into the question. Tell us now, with everybody you say you're playing your music, you're doing your brand. What has been the response for you from those listeners outside? I don't know that I understand. How do they connect with you? Apart from the fact that they're listening to this rebroadcast or simultaneous broadcast, how do you actually connect with those?
Can I say before you even answer that question that I do respect that how you answered a while ago. You said they're coming into my world.
Right.
You have created a brand around Sir Rockwell, what it is that you do, and people are now buying into that. You're not trying to please all and sundry and figuring out the demographic, and you're attracting people who like what it is that you do, which I think we're also doing here at Island Orange. Sorry, had to do the plug. But anyway, sorry, go ahead. Sorry. Shameless.
Cheap and shameless. No, but let's get back to the whole concept of what I envision for the Wake Up and Live show and for rockthebox.net. This grew out of a lack. What I thought was a lack. And that lack was the ability to, one, hear up-and-coming artists. We will always hear the hit songs, no matter what. But there are artists who are talented, have great production, but for whatever reason, be it money, opportunity, whatever the case, if I get a hold of it, I wanted to create a platform that these artists got a fair shake at an audience. And my goal when I started was, if I got a new song, I would keep it in rotation for at least 4 weeks. After 4 weeks, if I didn't get some kind of response from the audience to say, hey, I like that song, then, you know, the math is the math. You have 4 hours at 4 minutes per song. There are only a finite amount of songs that you can play at that time. So you have to work within those parameters. Right. So I give everyone a 4-week shot at getting a platform, especially a platform like this. Once the response comes in, then you get held into rotation, and then you might make the chart, but you get a solid opportunity to get before an audience, because radio, success in radio is nothing more than repetition.
All right, so now I'm going to ask you, I'm going to go down one of these rabbit holes, because we were, you had posted, you're one of those Facebook people, right? You know those Facebook people? You know what I'm talking about?
I know what.
Yeah, he's one of those Facebook people, right? So he was on Facebook now ranting about the artists who are not marketing themselves, and they want free play, and they're not spending any marketing dollars. And talk about that discussion that was happening, because I think we got into a little back and forth there as well.
Yeah,
my brother.
Well, well, one of the things is, this is not a hobby. Rockthebox.net is not a hobby. Rockthebox.net and the Wake Up and Live show is what pays my mortgage, my car note, keeps my daughter in college. This is a business. And there are 2 ways that you can basically generate revenue through radio. And that's, of course, advertising and marketing of a good product or service. Challenge that I have, and I think where this came out of, was the whole misunderstanding of marketing versus payola, which in reggae music, and don't get it wrong, payola exists in every genre. But more specifically, the complaints that I hear over and over is that if you want your tune to bust in Jamaica, you better have money.
Right.
But one of the things that I found interesting is that no one wanted to deal with it, well, very few wanted to deal with it from a business standpoint. Every good product or service requires marketing.
Right.
Marketing in very few situations.
And I will say, since we have spoken, I've seen like Chronix, who I think you may have pointed, somebody pointed to him as somebody who's doing that the right way. I had seen billboards, and I'd seen, ads in magazines with Chronix promoting his albums and his music and what have you. And I think that's where you were.
And that's exactly what I was talking about, is that the challenge that I had was that I get an average of 1,200 songs per week.
You get what?
People send to him. People who want to get exposed.
An average of, and then that includes.
That's just content being
that
sent.
includes.
So, right.
That includes
1,200. Okay.
1,200.
Okay.
I spend an entire Saturday afternoon just sorting out music for New Music Monday. An entire afternoon going through that. But I'm challenged by how these artists think an entity like Rock the Box survives.
Right.
And they would tell me in confession that, boy, I play a certain radio man to play my tune, and this is the challenge I have, or I pay a certain person to get on a chart. And I said, there's nothing wrong with spending money on your product, but it's how you spend it. Creating a false hype by buying a position on a chart is still not convincing a listening audience that it's a good tune.
Right.
To the contrary, actually. More and more people are becoming savvy, and they're going, that must be a bad tune or a bad position. What I am suggesting, that when you have a platform of 42 stations and ads are available at an extremely reasonable rate, that you might want to think about shifting some of your revenue into ads and add about the artist and add about the album and add about the song. So a lot of people were giving me pushback because they were confusing payola for marketing. And I remind them that the very last album that Michael Jackson dropped, he still bought ads on radio station. And I don't know who didn't know who Michael Jackson was. the biggest names in the business still buy ads on mainstream radio.
You know what? I think during that conversation, a lot of what was happening was, you should, not from you necessarily, but other people in the conversation. People must know and they must figure it out and whatever. And I don't know where that education comes from.
Exactly.
I don't know that
Exactly.
the managers that are around are somebody's cousin or somebody's uncle or somebody's boyfriend or girlfriend. And so there's not an education that is happening in the music industry other than we're hearing at the Enna Manley school, which is where
the business side of it is
right, which is where Chronix and his whole set of people are coming out of.
Exactly.
And they're doing a good job. Yeah.
I will go out as far to say that I really don't think they don't know. I think it's a shortcut in the business. I think, and I often ask the artists, what's your goal? Do you want to be a recording artist? Do you want to be a performing artist? Do you want to be a charting artist? Because they are three distinctly different things. If you just want to see your name on the chart, then go ahead and buy a chart all day long. Mm-hmm. And you can walk around to the corner store and show people that you're on a chart. Mm-hmm. But nowadays, a record is nothing more than a business card.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're gonna stick a pin because we gotta go to our ads. It's 7:30. All right, so
can we do one more thing before we get to that? Sure. Please, beg you. I want to say this because we've been talking and there's so much interesting content, but I want people to understand rockthebox.net and the Wake Up and Live show are not synonymous. Wake Up and Live is a morning show. Rock the Box is all day, all night, 24/7. So you can listen to the station all day long. I think it's important that people who are watching know that. The morning show is from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern. That's Sir Rockwell's show. But the station, which is Rockwell Station, is 24/7. You can hear the radio station all day. Now we can go to that.
Now can we go to ads? Thank you so much. Now we're heading to commercial break.
We'll be right back after these messages.
We're staying right here during the messages because first of all, we are going to say thank you to our the people who make this show possible, including DMR Media. DMR Media.
Yeah, man, DMR.
That includes Magic, who is stuck in the snow today. We're so sorry, Magic. We'll see you next week.
The new video company for the Wake Up and Live show. In studio.
Video company for the Wake Up and Live show. No, if you want to set up like this, all this 3 camera, we didn't have them the other day, and we were like, we're not doing this again. This is not acceptable. We are so thankful to DMR Media, Judy, Magic. Errol is sitting in today for Magic because he's out of town. But this 3 going on, all of this great production. They also do, I'm going to give our friends at People Profile a little plug. They do all of the video for People Profile as well. All of those slick graphics that you see during the awards show, this is all done by DMR Media. Call them if you need video production. I think they're going to be doing some drone work for us and all that kind of, I don't know if they know about it yet.
I don't know yet, but
I don't know that they know about it yet.
Just want to let you know that the ceiling in the studio of the Wake Up and Live show is high enough.
Lord have mercy. All right, there we go. So thanks to our friends at DMR Media as well as Nikki Lopez Creative. Thank you to the lady with the pink dreadlocks. All right,
Yay!
so that's branding once again, right? Yes. She does all of the graphics for I don't know so many companies. I'm not going to remember.
And the new graphics company for the Wake Up and Live show.
Wake Up and Live spending a whole.
But more than just the graphics, I think it's important to know that she's a social media expert. She is the one who gets people to watch the show.
I make you my new best friend.
Right. So for any of your, I think she does this as well for many of the organizations, the NGOs in Fort Lauderdale, just a whole bunch of companies.
Switch engine. Sorry, go ahead, man, show.
Lord have mercy. I don't know. So Nikki does this for a whole bunch of different companies and organizations and artists. She's in film and television. But if you need social media, meaning an actual strategy to get your not just somebody to post things for you, an actual strategy to get your company or your product or whatever it is known and shared and all that great stuff, please give Nikki a call.
And she does the scheduling, Content and scheduling.
Yes, whatever your social media needs are as a professional service, not just an intern to post for you. You want to call Nikki Lopez. It's nikkilopez.com. All right, and then of course we have to talk about Taste the Islands experience.
And let me just make sure you understand that you're going into some Upper St. Andrew accent.
I went into my Upper St. Andrew accent.
You're in Jamaica. That's your flight attendant.
Welcome to the flight. When we're talking about this, we have to go into the Upper St. Andrew accent because this is with the hurricanes and the whole Upper St. Andrew accent. This is a fabulous, ultra inclusive, ultra VIP event. You can get early bird tickets right now at $69, right? The gate price is $125. That's how fabulous it is. It is all inclusive, all gourmet food, all spirits and beer and all these things that we drink. Everything is included with your price. We have chefs coming up from the Caribbean. The setting of the event is on the riverside in downtown Fort Lauderdale. It's beautiful tropical ground. You were there today, right, Rockwell? Yes, gorgeous tropical grounds right on the riverside. The chefs, the music, the players in carnival costumes, the steel drum music, the live DJs. So Rockwell, you're hosting that. Oh, sorry, we haven't got to that yet. All right, we haven't got to that yet, but all of that, I don't want to keep going on. Go to ttiexperience.com to get more information and to get your tickets early. After March 31st, it's going to be $95. If you wait until the last week, it's $125. You can get them right now for $69. That's almost half off, right? So go ahead, go to the website and get that.
Before you go any further into your drink, okay, she's drinking from the table. That's not Cali behavior. Something is changing. I saw one comment in the chat that says that there's no sound, but then there are other people who are hearing the Upper St. Andrew accent. So just for double checking purposes, see if we can give a listen and make sure that sound is on. Welcome to everyone who is on live. Thank you for being on with us.
And I just want to, before you go on, I just want to reiterate to anyone who wants to advertise on this show or advertise in the next issue of the magazine, please call 954-200-5110 or email support@islandsyndicate.com. I think they have the lower third up on the screen. If you want to advertise, once again, it's 954-200-5110, and that's whether you want your ad in the show just like this or you want to be one of our fabulous advertisers in the magazine. Please call us or email us. Sorry, David, back to you.
Yes, the lower thirds were very, very, very on point. As soon as you said the lower thirds, it's there now. It says advertise with us. Yes. It's beautiful. Yes. Thanks again, DMR. On point.
On point.
Errol, I don't need magic to come back.
Wow.
Magic, I did not say that. It was David.
See what happened? What? Sama, you lose your work. Why?
But no, I wanted to say that everyone, please, questions. Send your questions. If you want to know how tall is Rockwell, is he 6'6" or is he 7'6"? You know, like any questions, please send them. Hi, Chantal.
All right. Okay.
But no. Back to
the show. Listen, before we go back to the show, I just want to one more plug. Please go to islandoriginsmag.com. All the articles that are in this issue, the spring issue of the magazine, are up online. And if you sign up for our mailing list, you're seeing some pictures there now with people who want tickets for Jazz in the Gardens. We have some other ultra fabulous tickets for the American Friends of Jamaica Gala. Those tickets are worth $350 a pop. We're giving away a pair of those tickets to one of our subscribers. So if you have not yet, go onto the website. It's islandoriginsmag.com. Go ahead and join the mailing list. We are giving away a pair of those tickets before the event on April 14th. Back to the discussion with our friend Sir Rockwell. Musical night, yes. So you were, I would like to go back into a little bit of the controversial stuff, and I don't know how much you're willing to share with us, but when you left Waves,
yes,
why did you leave Waves?
I left, well, let me see, I left Waves twice. Initially, the first time I left Waves, really, I had to make a decision. My other life is actually in the culinary side, restaurant management. And I was afforded some opportunities. At that time, I was working for Planet Hollywood, and I had gotten some really good opportunities. And having a family at the time, it was just the best. It was just the best move. There was a measure of frustration, not necessarily with Waves, with just the business. The corporate structured radio, I felt kind of held my personality back. And I struggled with it for a while, and I decided at the same time I had to make a living, and went on and did a full-time stint and took on more responsibilities with Planet Hollywood. And I was away for actually about 3 years. And the call was ridiculous. And the person who brought me in, and I have to give props before I go any further. I was doing community radio. I don't want to hide that part of it too, because I believe at that time, for those who, I'm putting up the term community radio, at that time they look at it and it's pirate radio. But there was a need. There was a need, and I am actually very proud of that move, because there was a need in the community. People were recognizing that there were songs out there that they weren't hearing. There were artists out there that they weren't hearing. Right. And that gave us a platform to play artists. As a matter of fact, my very first interview on underground radio was a young man by the name of Singing Melody, who called me and said, "Boy, I'm new to this and I have a song and nobody don't really want to give me an interview." And Singing Melody was my very first interview. The next person was Mikey Spice, all coming in. My third interview was a gentleman by the name of Warrior King. When I went to WAVS, I was told, nobody plays Warrior King here. New artists is not what we do here. But these artists have not only made a name for themselves, but actually secured a place, a spot in the business. Bushman was another one. I was told Bushman sounds way too close to Luciano, and I'm killing the Luciano brand and leave it alone. And after hearing those stories over and over, I got a little frustrated. And I decided to go full-time into food and beverage. Thank you very much.
Sorry about that. And,
I can't let her say.
sorry about that.
She was on my show. She wouldn't let me slide.
I apologize.
But Rockwell, hold on a second now. I mean, yeah, so all of these are great artists and have done well. But when you mention like all the artists, and you've now worked with artists by interviewing them, you've worked with them by playing their music, you've worked with them by hosting shows where they perform, and all these things. And then when it comes back down to the nitty-gritty of it, sort of reintroducing the earlier discussion, I'm going to tell you that there's still a lot of artists who don't understand the business. No matter how much your books are available, no matter how many people who have talent to perform, whether it be because they're singing ability, writing ability, a combination of the above, DJ ability. How do you know, as someone who has been in this game for so long, who has played so many different roles, what can you give as advice and guidance to artists who just don't understand the game? What do you say to those folks?
Honestly, I don't know if there's anything that I can say to them. And the reason I answer that way, I interviewed a gentleman 2 weeks ago on my show by the name of Alex Altios. He is I want to say Greek record producer that's now living in Kingston. And he just produced a track with Devin the Doctor. And I was interviewing him and I said, talk to me about this Greek EDM music producer that's now living in Jamaica doing reggae. What's your biggest challenge down there? And without hesitation, he said discipline. He said getting someone to show up on time for studio time, getting them to show up on time for an interview. And if there's anything that I can say to an artist is, talent is probably 30% of this business. And I'm going to take it that low. Because
Could I go lower?
yeah,
It could go lower.
because
Could go lower.
technology nowadays does magic. Your discipline, your drive outweighs all the talent that you can have. There are many a talented reggae artists singing on a street corner down in Jamaica.
Alright, well, I see that one of the artists that just joined the show watching live was the first artist I ever managed. So I have to say, big up Dan Youth, my first ever artist.
Dan Youth is on there?
Dan Youth.
Wow,
I was managing Dan Youth in 91 Dan Youth, merciless.
Can I give you a funny story? Dan Youth introduced me to Kevin Little on South Beach one random evening.
And?
He was like, here, you guys need to know each other, alright, bye. And I ended up on tour with Kevin. I don't know that Dan Youth, I don't even know that he remembered that I ended up on tour with Kevin Little because Dan Youth randomly introduced me to him on a beach. And so.
And it's funny you should say that because so many times the opportunities is afforded to these artists, and for whatever reason, there's someone on here. There's someone on here that will understand the story that I'm about to tell. Someone recently launched a project, and they were supposed to have the artist in studio, in my studio in the morning. And one of the artists didn't come because their story was, I'm not like some of the artists that was on the record, and I don't really feel like coming at the same space with them.
Very professional.
Yeah, I know that story a little bit.
Very professional.
So, from a producer standpoint, how does that producer deal with that artist in the future?
No, they don't.
When another producer calls that producer and say, how is it working with that producer? Is that producer supposed to lie on their behalf and say, great, and they're going to support your project no matter what?
No.
And then you get the other side of the coin is, why, Mr. Rockwell, we get a fight in other business, yeah, you know.
You create the fight
That's the
for yourself,
exactly.
yeah.
You know, I don't know that I agree that you create the fight, right? Coming from the perspective of an artist, and we do this sometimes, right? Coming from the perspective of having been an artist, I don't know that I felt like I had the right kind of guidance anywhere. I did not feel like I could find, and I was around Sly and Robbie,
Right.
who had their own infrastructure around them, who was doing very well for them. Excuse me, they would introduce me to people. That's how I ended up touring with Beanie Man. It was through Sly and Robbie. So they would put you in certain circumstances, but I remember, for example, I was a vocalist on the Tropical Storm album. And up to now, I think Virgin Records owes me $1,000 because I didn't know that I was supposed to have invoiced them.
Right.
And nobody told me
Right.
that I was to have invoiced them. So
Right.
simple basics. And I was around, I'm going to say people in the industry. I won't call any names, but I was around people in the industry. Not slide them at this point because they wouldn't have told me.
You
They
don't
wouldn't have
want
been the
people
ones.
misconstrue that.
No. They gave me the opportunity. They would not have been the ones to tell me that, but I was around people who should have told me that. And though that kind of instruction does not happen. So if you don't have a manager who knows everything that's going on, even if you ask other people's managers who should know what's going on, they're not going to tell you. They're not sharing as though you are intelligent. They are sharing as though you are one of the people who's showing up late all the time. And so when you are actually trying to do well, it's a challenge to find the people to support that.
Right.
Or it was when I was in the industry.
I think the first mistake is assuming that the person that is in a management role even knows what to do.
They knew what to do.
I'm not.
I'm gonna say from my perspective, from in the circles that I was in, and I would speak to multiple people at a high level, and it was always one of the things I got was, you're too smart to be an artist.
Right.
So there's a different layer of
Right, and there are so many issues within the industry. But I'd like to go back to the first one, which is there are many people wearing the title of manager that don't have a clue.
You are right.
And it's not their fault because oftentimes they're asked to pick up this role because they're the brother, sister, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, next door neighbor, best friend. And the first thing an artist is looking for is someone who they think they can trust.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in reggae music, there are very, very few people who aspire to be managers.
Right.
Everybody wants to be an artist.
Right.
Very few want to be a manager. And even when they want to be a manager, the source of information that they have sometimes is limited. They go to another manager and they base it on length of time in the business. Well, I can tell you this. Freddie McGregor used to have a show called Rocksteady Meets Reggae, an annual event. And by the time I got the opportunity to sit down and have more than just an MC radio personality relationship with Alton Ellis, Alton was far past the prime of his career. And I was absolutely shocked to find out that Alton Ellis was still, at that time, coming here for one of Freddie's shows, still not understanding the business by his own admission. So one would think that you could, let's go to Father Alton and ask him about the business and he will be able to tell us everything about the business. This business came out of a hustle. Reggae music came out of, let me take my talent to a studio and make some money to put some bread on my table tonight. It wasn't about a career. It wasn't about how do I secure my royalties and my publishing for my kids to be able to.
Yeah. And
it was a hustle.
And many managers are actually booking agents because it's still the hustle. It's still how do I get some money on the table right now.
Many managers are doing the best that they can.
And they're playing multiple roles.
Yeah. And the industry itself is moving at such a pace that unless they have some source, a specific source, as in a university that has a structured program to teach them not only the business of management, but the changes. Since I've been doing radio, I mean, if you look at just understanding online radio, there are people who can tell you how to market to TV, they can market to terrestrial radio, but they have no clue. I still have artists who look at me and say, see what you can do for me, and when they get calls, they can't understand it. It's not me. I have 42 stations, just by the sheer number of it. There are 42 stations with a minimum of 5,000 listeners. If you even take a conservative number, you are now putting yourself in front of any crowd, the best crowd you could get at the best festival. So when I hear an artist say, boy, I just really, really want to go back to a festival next year. Well, you realize that if your song gets played on my morning show, you have the same audience. You didn't have to fly to Germany or Switzerland or Australia. You have the very same audience. What are you going to do with it? And how are you going to capitalize on that audience?
Yeah, man.
All right, do we have questions from the audience or can I ask another one?
You can ask right after me. I want to take a little bit of a privilege. There is no question. Everybody's saying good topic, tricky, fun, really business of music, all of that, but nobody's asking any questions. So since you all won't ask,
I don't know if there's
I want to ask. Sir Rockwell, we talk a lot about music and radio. I'm going to change pace just a little bit. So, Virgin, there's another side of life. What do you do for fun? Tell me about what it's like to be married, having a family life. Tell me all of what's going on with you personally.
My passion is music. My second passion is tennis.
That's I always hear we talk about your doubles partner.
I'm a tennis addict. I came up here on a tennis from Jamaica on a tennis scholarship. I still play tennis. I'm also an avid painter. I paint.
What do you mean by painter? You paint the room or you paint canvas?
Well, I paint the room. I paint the canvas, and by default, the room get painted as well. So you take it any way you want to take it.
It's spray painting with the paint the canvas.
I paint. I came up through one of the greatest art teachers out of Jamaica, who now has a revered spot in Jamaica School of Art. Hope Thomas, we knew her as Hope Thomas, now she's known as, she's married Sweetie Wheeler, through Jamaica School of Art. I did classes with School of Art. I did pre-computer, so I'm now learning the computer graphics side. But charcoal, watercolors, acrylic, pencil, that's my
So
my
you're really an artist because I hear you all the time.
Can you speak English?
Oh, sorry, my apology.
Thank you.
Spank me, spank
Doesn't
me.
need to be an upper natural accent, but it
Spank
does
me.
need to be English.
All right.
Spanking.
So
this is
this is it. I'm getting this. I must
the
not.
lack of uptoning.
Yeah, I must speak in proper English.
Proper.
So in the proper English, Sir Rockwell, I know that you're also an avid photographer.
Yeah, well, I don't know about avid photographer. I love photography. And I have been bugging my brethren.
Roy Sweetland and bugging, not
So,
me.
yeah. Well, between David Muir and Roy Sweetland, big up Roy, I bug for that. But I feel as if I have somewhat of an eye. I have taken some shots on every once in a while, a Roy or a David. So not bad. You can show up for a class or two. I enjoy photography. I enjoy art. Tennis. If I want to get physical as far as stress relief, tennis is it. If it even means going to hit against a wall. The other side of Rockwell is very limited right now because rockthebox.net has become an all-encompassing, all-consuming entity. When I started 7 years ago, it was 35 listeners, my first show, and 33 of them were family and friends. And one person says, hey, I might come back next week because I didn't know what I was watching. I don't know who you are, but it was kind of cool or listening to. And 7 years later now, I am a little under 250,000 listeners each morning, 42 stations just picked up Australia and South Africa. And
You have a little smile as you're saying that, like,
there's a
yeah.
You know what I gotta tell you? I gotta be real about this. I can listen to your show every single morning and enjoy it every single morning.
Thank you.
No, but real.
He knows. I'm breaking to the apartment.
And she hears me listening to your show.
Yeah.
She said, "Man, you're dedicated.
Yeah.
I enjoy your show."
We have to get you on board.
Off of NPR, right?
Off of
You gotta get me
NPR.
off of NPR.
I'm just awake at
And
7 o'clock.
I'm awake at 6:15.
Yeah, okay.
But NPR, sorry, okay.
NPR.
I'm gonna let go of
I'm an NPR, but a Saturday NPR, fine.
No,
Saturday
I enjoy your show for this reason. It's fun. I want to be entertained. I don't listen to radio for music. I can get music a lot of places, and I will listen to some radio for music. But I like that your show is fun. You do your cheer wiggle time. You do this, and it's freestyle Friday. The different. You keep it light and fun, and then you bring lots of information. That combination is a winner. I'm gonna tell you, stick with it. What I'm wondering though is if you can't find a way to expand your show, not because you need to be on it, but to expand what you are doing in a greater way throughout Rock the Box. I'm not criticizing anybody else. I'm just saying if there is a way for you to make it a universal part of the station, I think that would be.
Yeah, well, one of the things that the station celebrates is the diversity of everyone else's passion. To just go through it. Right after me is Clinton Lindsay at 12 o'clock, who has built a name for himself coming out of New York radio and concert promotion. And he has his style. And I think one of the things that I want to ensure is that the station does not get into this corporate box where you have to be something that you're not. What I ask for is for them to strive for perfection, because that's what I do. Every show for me, if I have 1 second of dead air, I am very upset. I would rather take off a show. And I was telling someone the other day that when I'm ill.
Sorry, I forgot you. What's this take off the show thing? Whenever you don't show up for your show,
It's a more long conversation.
Sorry.
We're almost at the end. So let's finish.
No, I would rather take off a show than do a poorly produced show. And when I'm not well, my timing is off, and you get those little milliseconds of dead air that
I love how you
irks
think.
me.
I love how you operate. I love that you're an intelligent Caribbean. It doesn't have to be with the upper San Andrew accent, right? That's not necessarily but I like an intelligent Caribbean person. We have enough of the kind of just, it's all fun and I don't have to think about it. I like when somebody can think and have an intelligent conversation. So thank you very much for that. We have to wrap it up. Absolutely. We know we could go on for another hour, 2 or 4.
They're asking that we go another hour. We can't do that. Yeah, we actually have people asking.
Nikki Lopez actually has like half an hour after, so we can maybe squeeze another minute or 2, but we're not going to do that this evening. We are going to ask you, Sir Rockwell, other than rockthebox.net, how can people find you online?
Rockthebox.net, various radio stations, your local radio, online radio station around the world. You can find 42 of them. And of course, the easiest way is TuneIn Radio. Just go to TuneIn Radio, download the app. It's absolutely free, absolutely safe. And look for rockthebox.net. Save it as your favorite. Connect it to your Bluetooth in your audio. Connect it to the Bluetooth in your spouse's audio. If your Wi-Fi strength is good enough, connect it to the Bluetooth of your next door neighbor.
Island Origins does not condone any kind of hijacking of Bluetooth. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
You sure it's really over? There's some questions finally coming in here. Just
squeeze
in. What do you wish to accomplish in 2018, and what do you want to wind down and ease out of this year?
2018, I would like to make the big 100. By December, I would like to have 100 affiliates.
We're doing a drive. We're doing a radio drive. We're doing a radio station drive. So if you know someone that has a radio station, please lock them into rockthebox.net. We are advocating, we are pushing, we are part of the campaign to get Sir Rockwell this year to 100 radio stations.
Yes.
There you go.
So right? what you need to do is call your local station and tell them you want his show
regardless of the time zone.
Stream live. Just request it so that they can connect with him and get that 4 block onto your station.
All right, this is an Island Origins initiative that we are now starting right here. All right, thank you, Sir Rockwell. Any other questions?
Somebody else just said that they've just connected to it on Alexa. I didn't know you're on Alexa.
I didn't know either. I guess I am now.
You're
Artificial intelligence is everywhere. All right, so again, we are going to encourage everyone to visit our website at islandoriginsmag.com. Remember that one of our subscribers is going to win 2 $350 worth of tickets. Right, that's $700 worth of tickets to the Jamaica Charity Gala hosted by American Friends of Jamaica. They do really great work. They give money to all of the non-governmental organizations in Jamaica who are the boots on the ground. Pocket Rocket Foundation, all of these actually need money to do what they're doing in the communities, and this is who finds the rich people and says, give me money, and they help to fund all of these organizations who do the work on the ground in Jamaica. So islandoriginsmag.com. Our upcoming events that we are plugging this week: True Blue Weekend, Jamaica College Old Boys,
Past Students Association,
Old Boys, April 6th and 7th, it's True Blue Weekend. The Jamaica Charity Gala, which we just mentioned by the American Friends of Jamaica, is April 14th.
I'll be there.
We'll be there. Are we going together?
Careful, people might be jealous.
People are already jealous. I don't know what's going on. We're not, listen, we're not a couple. We're work wife and work husband.
Right. Trade, business.
But anyway, I know, right? Yeah. Miami Web Fest, where I'll be presenting, all right, is April 26th to 29th. My panel is going to be on April 27th, I think from 5 to 6 p.m. So hopefully you can join us there. And then, of course, the Chase the Islands. I have to put on my Upper Sinatra accent again. It's the Chase the Islands experience. It's happening June 2nd.
English, please. English.
June 2nd, downtown Fort Lauderdale at the Historical Society, right on the riverfront. It's going to be absolutely fabulous. All inclusive. Remember, the early bird tickets are $69. Get them right now. It's going up to $125.
You have about 2 weeks left to get the tickets at $69. Yeah. And I do want to say thanks to Jill Tracy, who is saying, how much is it going to cost for us to stay on for another hour? Jill, if you're sponsoring, I can send you my PayPal link right now, and we can pay for the production of another hour on the show.
Absolutely. And if you want to advertise, Jill, what's her name?
Julie Tracy.
Julie Tracy if you want to advertise on the show, if you were advertising, people were advertising, we could stay on so much longer and get through so much more. So please go ahead and call 954-200-5110 or email support@islandsyndicate.com. You see all these beautiful, listen, if you're in South Florida, I know you have this magazine already. If you stayed in the Pegasus or the Courtney or whatever this month, we know you've already seen the magazine. Yeah. I'm trying to get us some advertising dollars. Could you hear that? All right, so advertising, all the information is there. Please go ahead and advertise with us. And we will see you next week when we're talking. What are we talking about next week?
I don't remember. It was
I don't think we've decided yet. So
I thought it was. Isn't it that nice one where we're gonna do like this whole business thing with like Raphael Cruz and.
Oh, did we book them already?
I don't know. Well,
all right,
anyway,
so Raphael
we'll see you
Cruz
next
and
week.
some awesome, successful people. We're talking about success. I believe is the topic for next week. Thank you for joining us, Sir Rockwell.
My pleasure.
Thank you
so
to
much for having me.
absolutely rockthebox.net. Thank you to DMR Media. Thank you to Nikki Lopez Creative. Thank you to Island Syndicate. That's me and David and our partners, Allison and Carl, and Luki and Dentarona. I'm not going to keep going, but thank you all. We'll see you next week right here, 7 p.m. on Jamaicans.com, on IslandOrigins.com, on rockthebox.net, on Island Origins Live.
It's a delay.
Oh, seriously.
Bye everybody.
Bye, everybody.
No, it's running. It's cycling out. That's the bye bye.
Nobody can see.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.